How would you describe Christian Bruckner?
A dangerous man. I know what I saw and I know he is a dangerous man. And then he said to me, yeah, she was not screaming.
Who did you see?
Christian Bruckner, yeah. I don't believe him.
He strenuously denies being involved in the Madeleine McCann case.
I don't believe him. He know what I saw. He know it.
You believe he took Madeleine McCann?
Yeah.
Her disappearance remains one of the most haunting mysteries in modern times. From the Algarve resort where she vanished to police investigations across Europe, the search for answers has spanned continents. Yet almost 2 decades on, the question still remains: what really happened to Madeleine McCann? German prosecutors believe this man, Christian Bruckner, knows. A convicted paedophile and a sexual predator, and just days away from freedom.
How would you describe Christian Bruckner?
A dangerous man. A really dangerous man, yeah.
Helga Busching was once a criminal associate of Christian Bruckner's in Portugal. 2 Germans operating in the Algarve, stealing diesel, solar panels and drug dealing. A past Mr. Busching says he's left behind and has now become a key witness.
You believe he took Madeleine McCann?
Yeah. I want Christian go behind bars for the case of Madeleine McCann now. This was him. I'm 100% sure. He can say I'm innocent. I know what I saw and I know he is a dangerous man. And the best is he never came out.
Mr. Busching says the words that convinced him came in 2008, which we understand took place at this festival in Spain, a year after Madeleine vanished.
I tell him like this, I don't understand how somebody can rob the little children from a hotel, yeah? And then he said to me, yeah, she was not screaming. And I was thinking, okay.
She was not screaming?
Yeah, she was not screaming. And I know what I hear from him. I'm not stupid. And I was thinking, okay, how he knows this?
What do you believe he meant by that?
He have to do something with this. Yeah, he take Maddie out from this hotel, yeah. I was thinking, yeah, he is involved, sure, in this, yeah.
Why do you think he said it?
Is this coming out from his mouth by accident? Or he want to be cool?
What Mr. Busching heard that night chilled him so much he was too scared to ask any more questions, and he said Bruckner suddenly left the festival. But later that year, he said he left a voicemail message for Scotland Yard. But they told him it went unheard amidst the thousands of messages they were receiving at the time.
60,000 people was calling Scotland Yard and want to give some informations, and my information's going down in all this stuff.
It got lost in all of that system.
Yeah.
9 years later, in 2017, he tried again, leaving a voicemail on a hotline number. This time, detectives listened to it. 3 days of interviews followed, leading to information that was passed to German prosecutors, who would later name Bruckner their prime suspect.
Christian Bruckner is probably the best suspect I've seen in the Madeleine McCann case.
This former police chief who led the initial UK investigation into Madeleine's disappearance believes Mr. Busching's account matters.
Bruckner was such a good circumstantial suspect. His previous convictions for similar offences, we know that he had broken into holiday homes before. We know that he had a deviant sexual interest in children and young people, and that would add to the credibility of any testimony from someone else who came forward to say, yes, I have committed crimes myself, but this is such an important crime. I want to be honest and tell you what Bruckner told me about his involvement in the Madeleine McCann case.
Mr. Busching's evidence has been used before at Bruckner's rape trial, when he was convicted of attacking a 72-year-old American woman in Praia de Luz in 2005, where he testified about finding disturbing videos in Bruckner's home showing him violently raping 2 females. Some details too distressing to share.
I saw a woman, she was handcuffed, and some guy in black.
Could you see his face?
No, he had a black mask.
Did the man ever take his mask off?
Yeah. In the end of the video, he sitting in the end of the bed. He was so hot, sweating, yeah? And he takes the mask off.
Who did you see?
Christian Bruckner, yeah. 100%, yeah, I saw him, yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, in this moment I was shocked.
Did you come across another video?
Mm-hmm. This was a German young child, yeah.
Young child?
Yeah, I think she was 14.
In May, German and Portuguese police once again searched the area surrounding the house where Bruckner used to live. It's where Mr. Bushing says he stumbled across the videos in 2006 while stealing fuel from Bruckner's house in Portugal. A cottage just a mile away from the Ocean Club, where the McCanns stayed the following year.
We saw the houses open, a really mess place. It was full of luggage, baggage, clothes, women clothes.
Women's clothes?
Yeah, tourist stuff, yeah.
For nearly 2 decades, the disappearance of Madeleine McCann has remained an open wound, a global mystery with no end. It's a story of a family's worst nightmare, played out on the world stage, a case that has seen countless theories, false dawns, and heartbreaking dead ends. But a dramatic search had investigators believing they might be closer than ever to the truth, to a tangible piece of a puzzle that has remained scattered for 18 long years. The twist? The man at the center of it all, prime suspect Christian Bruckner, just became a free man. Is this the breakthrough the world has been waiting for, or will justice for Madeleine remain just out of reach? This is a story of colliding timelines. As one door opens with the potential of new forensic evidence from past searches, another slams shut, with the only person of interest no longer in state custody. To understand the magnitude of this moment, we have to go back to the beginning, back to the night that a 3-year-old girl vanished, leaving behind nothing but a lingering question that has haunted the world ever since. Where is Madeleine? Praia de Luz, Portugal, May 2007. The name of the resort town translates to Beach of Light, a serene description that would soon become steeped in the darkest of ironies. For the McCann family, it was supposed to be a happy, sun-drenched escape from their lives as busy doctors in Leicestershire, England. Kate and Jerry McCann, along with their 3 children, 3-year-old Madeleine and 2-year-old twins Sean and Amelie, were part of a larger group of friends, a party of 9 adults and 8 children in total. They would become known to the world as the Tapa 7. The week had been idyllic. Days spent by the pool at the Ocean Club Resort, evenings shared with friends. The evening of May 3rd, 2007 was meant to be no different. The McCanns and their friends gathered for dinner at the resort's outdoor tapas restaurant, just a short walk from their ground floor apartment. 5A, the children, including Madeleine and her twin siblings, were put to bed around 7 p.m. The adults established a rotation, a system of checking on the sleeping children throughout the evening. It was a decision made in the casual comfort of a holiday resort that would be scrutinized, debated, and agonized over for years to come. The timeline of that night has been picked apart by police, journalists, and amateur sleuths for 18 years. At approximately 9 to 5 p.m., Jerry McCann did his check. He saw all 3 of his children sleeping soundly. Madeleine was in her bed, her pink cuddle cat toy beside her. Another friend in the group, Jane Tanner, would later report seeing a man carrying a child away from the direction of the McCann's apartment at around 9:15 p.m. At the time, she thought nothing of it, just another holidaymaker taking their child home for the night. This sighting would become a crucial, yet frustratingly ambiguous piece of the initial investigation. The restaurant was close enough to see the apartment building, close enough for what they believed was a safe and reasonable checking system. But it wasn't close enough. At 10 p.m., it was Kate McCann's turn. She walked the short distance from the warmth and chatter of the restaurant to the quiet of apartment 5A. She entered through the unlocked patio door the same way they'd been coming and going. The twins, Sean and Amelie, were still asleep in their cots, but Madeleine's bed was empty. The bedroom window was open, the shutter raised. A chill, more profound than the night air, must have filled the room. This wasn't a child wandering off. This was something else. A frantic search of the apartment confirmed the impossible. Madeleine was gone. Panic set in. Kate McCann ran back to the restaurant, her voice cutting through the evening calm, screaming that someone had taken Madeleine. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. Resort staff and fellow guests fanned out, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, their calls of Madeleine echoing through the manicured grounds of the Ocean Club. The Portuguese police were called, but critical errors were made in those first few hours. The border police weren't immediately notified, a crucial delay. The apartment itself, a potential crime scene, wasn't properly secured. Dozens of people walked in and out, contaminating any forensic evidence that might have existed. This initial response set the tone for an investigation plagued by missteps. The local Polícia Judiciária, or PJ, took over, but their approach was baffling. They seemed to operate under the initial theory that Madeleine had simply wandered off, a theory that defied the logic of the raised shutter and open window. It was a critical loss of time in a case where every second counted. The beach of light had been plunged into darkness, and the search for a little girl in pink pajamas had begun. It was a search that, 18 years later, has still not ended. The days following Madeleine's disappearance morphed into a media firestorm. The image of the bright-eyed 3-year-old girl, captured in a now iconic photograph, was broadcast across the globe. Her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, made desperate emotional pleas for her return. The case had captured the world's attention, but the investigation on the ground was struggling. The Portuguese police investigation, led by Chief Inspector Gonçalo Amaral, quickly became mired in controversy. Their focus shifted dramatically, from a stranger abduction to a deeply unsettling theory that Kate and Jerry McCann were somehow involved. In September 2007, just 4 months after Madeleine vanished, her parents were officially named as arguidos, or formal suspects. This was based on dubious DNA evidence found in the family's rental car, evidence that was later largely discredited. The McCanns vehemently denied any involvement, but the suspicion cast a long, dark shadow, dividing public opinion and derailing the focus of the investigation for years. In 2008, Portuguese authorities shelved the case, citing a lack of evidence. But the McCanns never stopped searching. They hired private investigators, launched the Find Madeleine campaign, and ensured her face remained in the public consciousness. Their tireless efforts finally paid off in 2011 when London's Metropolitan Police launched its own review, Operation Grange. This wasn't a reinvestigation, but a painstaking re-examination of every piece of information from the Portuguese files. Operation Grange breathed new life into the case. Working on the theory of a planned abduction, they pieced together new timelines and identified new persons of interest. Over the years, countless theories were explored. Was it a burglary gone wrong? Was she taken by a trafficking ring? The investigation chased thousands of leads and reviewed sightings from all over the world, but each path seemed to lead to another dead end. The cost of the investigation spiraled into millions of pounds. Still, her parents refused to give up. The case file grew thicker, filled with false starts. It seemed the mystery was destined to remain unsolved. But then, in 2020, 13 years after Madeleine vanished, German police made a stunning announcement. They had a new prime suspect, a man who was in the Algarve at the time, a man with a dark history, a man named Christian Bruckner. The announcement in June 2020 sent shockwaves through everyone who had followed the case. For the first time in over a decade, there was a concrete official suspect, Christian Bruckner, a German national, was, in the words of German prosecutor Hans Christian Wolters, the prime suspect in the abduction and suspected loss of life of Madeleine McCann. So who is Christian Bruckner, and how did he land at the center of the world's most famous missing person case? Bruckner is a career criminal and a convicted offender with a disturbing history. He had spent years living a transient life in Portugal's Algarve region, the very area where the McCanns were on holiday. He supported himself with petty crimes, but his background was far darker. He has multiple convictions for serious offenses, including those involving children. When German police named him, he was already in prison for an intense 2005 incident involving a 72-year-old American woman in her Praia de Luz home. That confrontation happened just 18 months before Madeleine disappeared, in the very same resort town. I'm using softened language here because of YouTube's rules, but the proximity and serious nature of this case painted a terrifying picture. The case against Bruckner is a web of circumstantial evidence. There is no confession, no discovery, and no definitive forensic link. Yet, the pieces create a deeply suspicious picture. First, the phone data. This is maybe the most compelling evidence. On the night Madeleine vanished, a mobile phone owned by Christian Bruckner received a 30-minute call. Cell tower data placed that phone in the immediate area of the Ocean Club Resort right around the time she disappeared. The call ended just about an hour before Kate McCann discovered her daughter was missing. For investigators, this put Bruckner squarely at the scene. Second, his vehicles. Bruckner was known to live in a distinctive VW T3 Westphalia camper van. Police also learned of a second car, a Jaguar XJR6. In a move police found highly suspicious, Bruckner re-registered this Jaguar in someone else's name on May 4th, 2007, the day after Madeleine disappeared. It looked like a panic move to distance himself from the vehicle. Third, witness statements. After Bruckner was named, former associates came forward. One key witness, Helga Bushing, told investigators Bruckner made a disturbing comment, allegedly saying the missing girl wasn't screaming. Other witnesses have reportedly given sworn testimony that Bruckner confessed to them. Despite this mountain of suspicion, the German legal system has a very high bar for charges. Bruckner, through his lawyer, has consistently denied any involvement and has never been formally charged in the McCann case. It seemed the investigation had hit a wall. They had their man, but not the evidence. And then they went digging. After years of meticulous file reviewing, the investigation took a dramatic and visible turn in May 2023. German police, with their Portuguese and British counterparts, descended on the Algarve. They weren't just asking questions, they were digging. The operation focused on the Barragem do Aride Reservoir, about 30 miles from Praia de Luz. It was a place Bruckner reportedly used to visit, calling it his little paradise. For 3 days, a heavy police presence transformed the quiet landscape. Drones buzzed overhead, mapping the terrain, while heavy machinery cleared dense undergrowth. Specialized teams used ground-penetrating radar, hunting for anything that could build their case. The world's media watched, speculating what led police to this spot. After 3 days, the search concluded. Officials were tight-lipped, but it was reported that several items had been found and collected for intensive forensic analysis in Germany. While the findings were never officially confirmed as a breakthrough, they represent a monumental opportunity in a case this old. Forensic science has advanced leaps and bounds since 2007. Even a minuscule trace of DNA could be the irrefutable link investigators have sought for nearly 2 decades. The results of those tests could be nothing, another dead end in a case full of them, or they could be everything. But as the world waited for news from the German lab, an even more shocking development was unfolding. On the morning of Wednesday, September 17, 2025, a black Audi with tinted windows sped away from a prison in northern Germany. Hidden in the back seat was Christian Bruckner. After serving a 7-year sentence for the 2005 case, the prime suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann was a free man. For the public and investigators, it was a moment of profound shock. How could the man they believe is responsible for one of the most infamous crimes of the century simply be released? The answer lies in the separation of legal cases. Bruckner was in prison for the 2005 conviction, not for anything related to Madeleine McCann. On September 17th, his sentence was complete, and German authorities had no legal justification to hold him. His release, however, is not without strings. The German court imposed strict conditions, acknowledging the danger he poses. Bruckner must wear an electronic ankle tag, surrender his passport, and is forbidden from leaving Germany. He must also report to a probation officer. These are significant restrictions, but his lawyers intend to appeal them. The timing is extraordinary. Just as police hope for a forensic breakthrough, their only suspect is back on the streets. This puts immense pressure on prosecutor Hans Christian Wolters, who has called Bruckner fundamentally dangerous and likely to re-offend. British police had hoped for one last chance to question him before his release, but Bruckner refused the interview. His release creates a precarious situation. Authorities in 3 countries are now monitoring a man they believe took the life of a child, while praying that evidence from a Portuguese reservoir will give them the power to put him back behind bars. For now, Bruckner has vanished to an unknown location within Germany, a free member of the public for the first time since being named a suspect. The man who may hold the key to the mystery is no longer in a cage, and the question of justice has never felt more urgent. As Bruckner adjusts to life under surveillance, investigators face an unprecedented challenge. The evidence collected from the 2023 reservoir search represents their best hope for a breakthrough, but forensic analysis takes time they may not have. German laboratories are working around the clock, examining every item recovered from the Barajum Duarade. Advanced DNA techniques that didn't exist in 2007 are being deployed. Even degraded genetic material damaged by years of exposure to water and soil might yield crucial information. The science has evolved dramatically since Madeleine first went missing, offering new possibilities that investigators could never have imagined during the early years of the case. But there's another layer to this forensic puzzle. Digital evidence has also advanced significantly. Phone records, satellite data, and even social media activity from 2007 are being re-examined with modern analytical tools. Patterns that were invisible 18 years ago might now be crystal clear. The question is whether this technological revolution will finally provide the smoking gun that has eluded investigators for so long. The pressure is immense. German prosecutor Hans Christian Wolters has publicly stated his belief that Madeleine is no longer living, but belief isn't enough for a conviction. They need proof, concrete, undeniable evidence that will hold up in court. With Bruckner now free and under restrictions that his lawyers are actively challenging, the window for justice may be narrowing. International cooperation has never been more critical. British, Portuguese, and German authorities are sharing information at an unprecedented level, but they're working against the clock. Every day that passes without new evidence is another day that Bruckner's legal team can argue for the lifting of his restrictions. So where does this leave us? We are left in a state of profound uncertainty, waiting for a lab result that might never come, waiting to see if a man under heavy surveillance makes a mistake. We are caught between the very real possibility of a historic breakthrough and the cynical probability of yet another false hope. The release of Christian Bruckner has, ironically, made the pursuit of justice more urgent than ever. Investigators know their window of opportunity may be closing. The challenges of building a case against a free man, even one under supervision, are immense. The questions that have haunted this case for 18 years remain, but they are now sharper, more focused. Is the proof of what happened to Madeleine McCann sitting in an evidence bag in a German lab? Can authorities build a case without remains, relying on old phone data and new forensic science? And the most chilling question of all, did they just let the only person who might know the truth walk out the door? The story of Madeleine McCann has always been more than just a missing person case. It's a story about hope, loss, and the agonizing void of not knowing. For her family, for the investigators who have dedicated years to this puzzle, and for a world that has never forgotten her face, the answer cannot come soon enough. As we stand at this crossroads between potential breakthrough and possible failure, one thing remains certain: the search continues. The forensic teams work through the night, the surveillance teams watch every movement, and somewhere in Germany, a man who may hold the ultimate truth to this 18-year mystery goes about his daily life under the watchful eye of the law. The Beach of Light may have been plunged into darkness on that fateful night in May 2007, but the hope for illumination, for truth, for justice, burns as bright as ever. The world watches, the family waits, and the investigation presses on. In a case that has defied resolution for nearly 2 decades, perhaps this is finally the moment when all the pieces fall into place.